Welcome back to the Manifestation of Money podcast. Today's episode is a little different. Usually we gather here to talk about what is possible, manifesting dreams, creating abundance, and designing a life that feels aligned and intentional. But every once in a while, a story captures my interest and feels too important not to share. Today's conversation is with a dentist named Doc Holliday, and Doc is opening our eyes to a scam that cost him more than $200,000. It is a story about how sophisticated scams have become and how even smart, successful people can find themselves caught in the wrong moment at the wrong time. As you'll hear, this isn't a story about someone being careless. It is a story about being human. And if sharing this experience helps even one listener avoid the same fate, then there's tremendous value in bringing Doc's conversation to light. While today's episode may be a little outside our usual lane, it is deeply connected to something that we talk about often here, which is being intentional with our money, our choices, and the life that we're creating. So if you're tuning in today, you've manifested hearing this valuable story to protect yourself or a loved one from this type of scam. Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, the show where we tackle the taboo topics of money and manifestation. I'm your host, Jenny Schultz, former 9-to-5 grinder who ditched the status quo and went all in on creating a life I love. Yes, I use manifestation. Yes, I took action. And yes, I created a 7-figure net worth before turning 40. Every week, I'll bring you inspiring stories with money mavens and manifestation masters. From learning how to make more, save more, and grow your wealth to unlocking the power of manifesting your dream life. I am so excited to play in this space with you. Let's jump into creating a life you love. Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Doc.
Well, I am glad to be here.
I'm going to let you share with the listeners just who you are, what your story is, and why you got the title Doc.
I get called Doc Holliday. My last name is Holliday. I am a dentist. My dentist told me when I got ready to go to dental school, he said, Ed, you might as well get used to it. People are going to call you Doc Holliday. And sure enough, ever since dental school, I get called Doc Holliday by a lot of people just because of the old tombstone and the shootout at the OK Corral. That everybody knows that character, Doc Holliday, and he was a dentist. So that nickname is stuck, and I write under that Ed Doc Holliday.
I love that. It's just such a quirky. I'm going to say you're honestly the first dentist that I've had on the show.
Okay.
But today is kind of a unique perspective that you're bringing to the show, because around here we talk about manifestation and money, and you're going to tell us about a big money whoops that you had that'll hopefully be a valuable lesson for us all to remember moving forward, especially in this world around cryptocurrency. Here's your chance to take the floor and share what you experienced.
Well, let me tell you, something happened on Valentine's Day of 2025 that I'd never experienced before. It hit me like a stone. Mentally, it knocked me out. I'd never had something happen to me like what happened. And I'm going to get into details of what happened in a minute, but I can tell you I had to go downstairs of her house and tell my wife I lost $200,000. And she took it well. I mean, it's not fun, can you get it back? All these questions, what do we need to do? And I had to go through that because it was something that was just miserable, and it just unnerves you. You're full of shame, guilt, revenge. You're just mad, you're hurt. Because I was just hurting internally so bad because I realized what had happened. Scammers got $200,000 I'd worked 8 years to build up. And mine was in cryptocurrencies, but it could be your online banking, it could be your retirement savings. And this was something I'd worked so hard for, and it just devastates you. It did me.
And that's a huge number you're talking about. Like, I think I would feel all these feelings that you're feeling if I lost $20,000, right? Yeah. You are at a zero to that. You are talking about a huge lump sum of money that just vanished.
And even talking about it now is not easy because, I think, how hard I worked to get for that over years, and then it's gone within an hour. So everybody's probably asking what happened.
Yeah.
And on Valentine's Day of 2025, it's just a normal day. Everything was going fine. And to give it a little bit of background, I'd been doing cryptocurrency since about 8 years, and I knew about it. I knew how to keep them secure. I thought I knew it was doing very good. I didn't do any crypto thing on my phones or actually bought a computer. I did all my crypto on that computer. I didn't surf. I didn't do anything on that computer. I just wanted to keep it extra secure. I thought I was doing things right. And I bought some wallets and cryptocurrency back in the year 2020 and 2019 in that era. And they didn't have two-factor authentication then. And I just left things there and thought, well, okay, they're secure. I'm not going to change anything. I don't actively go into it in and out, buying and selling. I just mainly would buy crypto, put it in a digital wallet for those who don't know about crypto, and it can be complex on some things. And on a Valentine's Day in the afternoon, things on your mind, and I have been told that scammers really work hard on Fridays, on holidays, and even some Saturdays. The banks are closed for the weekend. People can't claw back and get access. They can't get a hold of people. So they really work on Fridays and Saturdays. Don't have somebody you can call at the bank, a live person or something. They like those days. I found out since then. I found out a lot since then.
You found out the hard way.
Yeah, and I laugh some now because I'm a happy person. I enjoy life. Right after the scam, I was telling an audience once, true or false, you think Doc Holliday laughed about it when he lost $200,000? I found out he did, and I put in a book, that wasn't one single funny bone in my body. I mean, I hurt. It was painful. But I'll get into the details. In the afternoon, I was actually getting some tax stuff ready. It's February 14th, and, tax season, and getting things to take to my accountant. And I got a phone call. I looked at my phone, and it said Google was calling. And I had, a couple of days earlier, done a couple of things that had to check on Google security on my mail and didn't do anything, but I was aware, and so I thought, okay, well, maybe that is Google. But I answered the phone, and they said, it's Google. Said, we've had to freeze your account. Somebody's trying to get in your account. And I said, you're calling me on the phone. I don't believe you're Google. And they said, well, we send you an email. Will that make you feel better? And, of course, they sent me an email, and it had Google all over it and all the phone numbers you did. It said, it's from Google, and we're here to tell you. And I spent about 30 minutes on the phone. They sent me about 4 or 5 emails. And finally, they said, if we send you something on YouTube, would that make you feel more confident? And I knew that Google, for those who don't know, Google owns YouTube. It's a part of the Google system. And I have on security things before, when I've changed my password or code or something, they'll send me something on YouTube. So I'm familiar with that. It just seemed more authentic. And somebody explained to me what they did, but they acted like it's me trying to change my password, and they couldn't do it. But they'd send the code to my phone, and I was giving them, they said, tell me what numbers you see, and they'd tell me what numbers to pick. But it made me think they were literally part of Google. And of course they weren't. And I didn't realize that till later. I really thought they were part of Google. And they said, all we want to do is give you a temporary password so you can get your account activated. Of course, I didn't check and see. I just thought, oh no, my Google account is not going to work until I can do this. But after 30 minutes, I went ahead and said, okay, get the password. That's all they were asking. I thought, okay, they're not asking for anything, any money. They just wanted me to get a temporary password, put that in. And they said, that's all we need. Thank you. You're in good shape. You can use your account again. And I didn't think anything about it. I checked to make sure my account was working. It was. And then about an hour after that, I got a call for people who have cryptocurrency. I'd left some on a exchange, not in a wallet. It was on what they call a Coinbase exchange. And there is a rule, and they say it over and over and over. Coinbase says, we will never call you. I know that. And I'd gotten spams and all that for years. But this time, they called my number, and they said, this is Coinbase Asset Protection Security. Okay, Coinbase says they don't call, but they say they're asset security. I said, well, I don't believe it. And again, I said, I don't believe it. They sent a bunch of emails. Everything looked just like Coinbase. Had all the symbols and everything, it looked just perfect. And they finally said, look, you pick any email that you've ever sent to Coinbase, and you just reply to that email, and we'll reply right back. I'm not sure how they did that, but anyway, I found a Coinbase email that I'd sent 2 years ago, and I replied to it, and they replied back. but they were in my email account. I don't know how they did that, but I mean, some computer experts know.
Oh,
But it
somehow
made,
because they had access to your current email, they were
yeah,
able to, okay, okay, I'm
and
following.
so it made me think that it was really them, and I still didn't believe it.
Mhm.
And they said, well, the reason we're calling you, there's somebody trying to take out 1,999 chain link tokens. And that's the name of a token. People are not familiar with cryptocurrencies, but chain link is one of the bigger names. And I knew it had done well. One reason I hadn't moved it and didn't want to do anything with it, I didn't want to try to sell anything because it had done really well. I'd bought it in 2020 and it had gone from $2,000 to like $38,000. And I didn't want to pay capital gains. I didn't want to sell it. I was just going to let it sit there on the crypto exchange, Coinbase. But when they said somebody was trying to get my 1,000, they said someone is moving. Is that you? Are you moving your 1,999 chain link tokens? And I knew they were 38,000. I said, well, no, it's not me. And they said, well, you need to get them secure because somebody's broken into your account. See, that's just like the scammer. They're tricking you, wanting you to think they're the good guys. But when what they do, and I go back and I talk about this in my book, and being a dentist and know somebody, when you get fear, they put fear in your system. The human brain does the fight or flight. When you are fearful, it's fight or flight. And when that happens, your body makes extra adrenaline, epinephrine. Adrenaline and epinephrine, same thing. And your body makes it naturally. Now, as a dentist, I know when we numb you up, when we get your tooth numb so we can work on it, you won't feel anything. We put, in most cases, not for everybody, but most people, we put epinephrine in there. And that what it does, it keeps it numb longer. We can use other anesthetics without epinephrine in it, but it wears off quicker. So, and sometimes when somebody is already nervous to come in, and there's certain places when you add some of the anesthetic by a major artery or something, sometimes if some gets in their system quicker, you'll see them just where their heart starts beating, they get palpitations, and I see a couple of little drops of sweat form on the forehead, and I know, I said, and I know what's going on. They don't, they're scared. And I get them just to say, just take in some deep breaths, work it out a minute, and then you got a little bit extra adrenaline. It doesn't happen often. Somebody may have, as a patient, may have felt that, but you work through that. But what it does, though, when a scammer tells you that somebody's trying to get something worth $38,000, it scared me, and my mind was in fear. When that happens, the precortex in your brain, that part of your brain, for fight or flight, it makes the extra adrenaline. You're fearful, so you don't think rationally. Scammers know this. They utilize it. They always make you feel scared or you got to do something in a hurry, but it naturally diminishes your ability to make rational decisions because you're in a fight or flight mode.
So in these moments, you're not even going and checking in with your wife. In these moments,
Yeah.
you're just like, I better deal with this before my wife finds out that somebody's trying to move my crypto.
I mean, that's how you feel. You narrow yourself in. You don't think about others. And that's how the scammers draw you in. It's you and them. They want it that way. It's almost like they control you. And I'm not saying it's hypnotism or anything like that, but it is something like that. It draws you in. I'm not even thinking about my wife. I'm not thinking about calling anybody. I'm not thinking about calling my accountant or anybody just to get somebody on the phone. I'm thinking it gets my focus narrowed on what somebody's trying to get that I know is worth $38,000. But basically they convinced me, and this is called social engineering, and it can happen to anybody if you're human in different ways, and it's getting better and better. The scammers are getting better and better because of AI, that artificial intelligence. And they tricked me with the emails. Even though I didn't believe it all, it started adding up in my mind. These must be legit. This person's legit. And so I'm telling my story because I can give you all statistics. The FBI had how many billions are stolen every year. And basically, this is a fact that there's about 107 scams on Americans. Americans are scammed 107 times every 60 seconds. When I was one of those out of 107 in just 60 seconds. It took an hour for them to finish up with me. But again, they were social engineering me. I have a quote in a book And I will tell a little bit about the book now because I am changing the title. The title I had is Crypto Con, my 200K Nightmare. But I went to a seminar with Jack Canfield. And if that doesn't ring a bell, Jack Canfield is a famous author, wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. And he has sold 500 million books, more than any nonfiction book on earth probably. And he read my book and said, Ed, I really like your book, but I can give you a better title. He said, when I said Crypto Con, I'm limiting people who don't know about crypto, they're not interested in the book. But he said, Ed, your book is good for all financial scams. Don't limit yourself. Anybody that has any kind of online account, banking account, anything, they need to read what happened to you. And because I have ways to avoid it, 10 ways to avoid that. And after talking to him, I'm in the process now of putting a new title on there. It's my subtitle. The new title of the book is My 200K Nightmare, 10 Ways to Avoid Financial Scams I Wish I'd Known.
Yeah, I think if Jack Canfield's giving you advice, you better take it.
Well, that's what I went back to my team. They said, they helped me get the first title. I said, Jack Canfield wants me to change the title. And they said, Ed, he sold a whole lot more books than you have, at least so far. Working with him and helped me realize. And he said, there's so many things that people need to know. It's packed in that book. The book's not a thick book. I wanted to be something people could have around and even share it. And of course, it's ebook and paperback. But in that book, there's one phrase Jack Canfield said he really liked. Mirror, mirror on the wall, what's my weakest security link of all? And then I say, look in that mirror real deep. There's your weakest security link. It is you. The technology is good enough. It is rock solid in most cases. With all the new technology, they can keep the vandals, the scammers out, but they social engineer people because it works. Why try to hack and break into things when they can just go over and over and over? And again, it's on Valentine's Day. 9 times out of 10, I don't think I would have just gone through with it. It's something about, we just had things on my mind, and it's on a Friday, and I just fell into the trap. And I should have just hung the phone up. That's everybody says, what's the bottom line? What's one thing, what's one nugget? One nugget I can tell your audience right now. If somebody wants you to do anything on the phone with money, if they call you up, you don't do it. I don't care if it's the president of the bank or whoever, you don't do anything over the phone with your money. You just don't. That's the best way I can tell people. If it's legit, you can go to the bank, you can go somewhere, or I'll go and finish the story so I won't forget it. But they convinced me I need to move. They said, we're not asking you to get your money off Coinbase. We just want you to move it from the Coinbase exchange to a Coinbase wallet. And of course, I said, well, I don't have a Coinbase wallet. They said, oh, we can help you set that up. That's what we're here for. You know, we're Coinbase. We're here to help our customers. And so they set me up a wallet in my name and everything, but they had access to the wallet. And so they were moving over to chain link coins. I knew it was 38,000. I had a little unsure feeling in my stomach. And of course, then they said, getting your other coins, you need to get those moved over too. One of them, Stellar, is a well-known coin and been around a long time. I had some of that. And they said, we can't take that. You need to turn it into Ethereum. And they helped me walk through an Ethereum. I did hit the wrong button. And I staked it. If anybody knows about staking.
You locked it in.
It locked it in for a couple of weeks, so that saved me. And I will say this. If you've ever been in a horror film, you know, you say, don't go in there. Please don't go in there. What I did, it was really bad. I can't believe I did it. It makes everybody cringe. Every computer expert, they said, we're going slow. I said, we need to see your screen so we can do this a lot faster. And so if you just go to any help or any desk, just download that and share your screen, and we can help you out quicker. Of course, once I did that, and I was on the computer and I did nothing but crypto on, and I thought it was very secure. And once I did that, they got in my computer, and they were in my computer. And they were talking about moving other accounts, and you need to check your MetaMask wallet. And somehow they're getting in there. And what I'd found out is once they got in my Google, my emails, they knew my different wallets. and they did hack into a account Coinly where we do. Anybody does crypto, you know, you can do tax software through some of these companies, and they can't steal anything from it, but they knew where my coins were. They knew what wallets they're on. They broke into my tax software, and so it's a read-only thing, but they knew where the wallets were, and they knew what I had. I just didn't have an easy feeling. And later, my wife said, "Ed, you were shouting up there. You were irritated." And what it was, they had been putting the money into the account, that my new Coinbase wallet account that they'd set up, and I could see the coins there. And then one time, I didn't see the Bitcoin they moved over, and I said, "Hey, where's my Bitcoin?" And they said, "Oh, it takes 24 hours to show up." I said, No. I saw it a while ago. I don't see it. I said, nothing else happening until I see that Bitcoin on my account right now. And then the next thing they said, "Well, let's check this other wallet." I said, "No, we're not." And I'm sure I got agitated. My wife said it is. I said, "No, we're not doing anything." And then I saw my wallets that were in my computer start popping up on my screen on different things. One guy was talking to me, and it wasn't a foreign accent. It's just as American as anybody you could ever hear their voice. But they had broken into my computer, and they got all my passwords. Were unloading all my wallets. I had 6 or 7 wallets, and they were just wiping them out. I didn't know that until right at the end. I said, "Hey, what are you doing with that?" And then they knew I knew it was a scam. All the wallets had been drained by then. I had no idea they were draining my wallets. And they hung up, and then it was a horrible, horrible feeling. And at that time, I didn't know how much had gone out. And I did find out 2 things happened. They got in Coinbase, and Coinbase, I had about 100,000 worth of coins on Coinbase, close to it. And they shut it down after I lost 75,000. They knew something maybe went out, so they froze my account, saved me some. That they got into Gemini, a crypto exchange, and thank goodness, I don't know why or how, they got in there, and I had some Ethereum staked, which was frozen, and they unstaked it, but it took 7 days to be unstaked. For whatever reason, Gemini froze my account immediately then. I don't know, they knew we were a scammer. So I give my kudos to Gemini. They froze an account. I didn't lose anything out of Gemini. Took me about 2 weeks to get back on, but I was glad they shut it down, and I had to prove who I was and all that. It took a while, and I wanted them to. I didn't know how they'd have access to, all my information in the next few days. I didn't know what to do, and my wife said, "You got to do something." I knew that, and I did call some people, and they said, "Whatever you do, don't get back online. Don't use your computer to get back online, because they track and monitor, and it just make things worse." Said just shut everything down. The next morning, I got up. I bought a cheap computer to go in and check everything, and that's when I realized how much they'd stolen from my wallets and how bad it was. I knew a friend that ran an internet security company, and he came in. Thank goodness it's Saturday, and he spent the time with me, and took a while, and he went through and cleaned up all my computers, did everything, get them cleaned up. And he said, "Ed, you're a good writer." He knew I liked to write. I write novels. A dentist now, part-time, and write novels. And he said, "You really need to write about what happened." He said, "I've seen so many people who have been scammed, and they're full of guilt and shame." And I raised my hand. I said, "That's how I don't want anybody to know." And he said, "But if you'll tell your story, you will help a lot of people." I didn't want to. And then I realized I was writing novels. I was filled with guilt, shame, revenge, hatred, mad. I guess the 5 things when you lose somebody. I lost that. I didn't want to be so dependent on money, but it hurts to lose that.
And if it wasn't you, though, it would be somebody else. Like you shared that stat of the amount of people they do in a day. That's mind blowing. So if it wasn't you, it would have been somebody else, which is the whole reason we have you on this show. I know it is not a fun story to share, but it's a valuable one, especially when we're talking about money and cryptocurrency. And I'm glad you're changing the title of your book, because I know of family members that have gotten phone calls trying to do something through their computer, and exactly that situation. They've asked them for certain access in through their computer, or we'll help you out, or you just have to give us your credit card number to pay this fee and we'll
Yeah.
help you out. There are so many of these scams that are now affecting us day to day, every second of every day after talking to you, that we need to become more aware as a society to help spread this message and help spread this word, because it has happened to more people than you realize. And like you said, there's that shame and there's that guilt around it. And by you sharing the story, you're going to be allowing people to take their power back and hopefully take that power back from the stance of, if they get one of these phone calls, they're going to be able to say, nope, sorry, Doc Holliday, he told me just to
Yeah.
hang up when I get one of these phone calls, right?
Yep. Just tell them Doc Holliday said hang up.
Yeah,
And
exactly. If you could share with listeners where they can reach out and get a copy of your book, when it comes out, or is it
yep,
out?
it is out now.
Okay.
It's still under the title CryptoCon, and they can go to Amazon or Barnes and Noble and look up CryptoCon. I actually look up my 200K Nightmare because that was my subtitle. It is the new title now, my 200K Nightmare, and you can go to the website. Order there. You want the ebook or something, or even the paperback book, you can still get it at Amazon. And my 200K Nightmare, and it tells the story. Now the statistics are good in there and the reasons why, but to me the best thing about the story is you know the story, so you don't forget. Oh, I know what happened to Doc Holliday. I'm not going to let it happen to me, and I'll be happy. If somebody tells me that, and several already have. People need to think and be aware, be on guard.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ed, for joining me on the show today and having this conversation and spreading the awareness.
Thank you.
Before you go, I know you've got some big dreams and desires of your own calling to you. I'd love for you to come hang out with me inside Manifestation Playground on School. It's free to join, and you'll get instant access to the Manifestation Vault and an amazing community of fellow manifestors. Come in, drop me a hello, share a win, or just quietly binge the tools, your pace, your vibe. Head to manifestationplayground.ca, and I'll see you in there.